you should have won the game last night?
We didn't win. I don't understand the question.
Well, you led the game for all but, 49 seconds. You feel like y'all played well enough to win that game?
We were a play away from winning the game. So, well enough minus one play.
What did you like? What didn't you like about last night?
I thought our guys played with really good connectivity. You know, I thought we started the game really well. That's a tough atmosphere to go into, and that's a tough team to go play against. They're really, really good, especially at home. So I thought our guys, you know, showed good fight. We just didn't make enough winning plays down the stretch.
Shaka, are you past the point of, like the moral victory, or do you come away from last night's effort feeling pretty good about things?
Yeah, I think moral victory is more of a media thing, to be honest with you. I've never really believed in that. I think whether you win or you lose, you want to learn from the game. So from that standpoint, if your focus is on growth, then every game should be a victory. All right, but you're talking about the result of the game, and it's a win or a loss. So, no, I don't really believe in that.
Did Yancey show you things that you were hoping to see, that you were expecting to see? What did you think?
I thought he played well in the first half.
Coach, after the Kansas game, you said you wanted your guys to go in there with their chest out. You didn't feel they did that in that game. Do you feel like they went in there with the confidence you wanted to see for this one?
I thought we did that in the Kansas game. I thought in the second half we lost some of that in the Kansas game. This game, Oklahoma, we were better in the second half, but you know, we still, again, we didn't make enough winning plays down the stretch. But Oklahoma had a lot to do with that. Kansas had a lot to do with that when we played them. We were playing against good teams, and I thought Buddy Hield's, you know, his aggressiveness down the stretch was really, really a factor, and it got him to the foul line, and then, you know, he had a great slashing layup, and obviously made the three late.
What do you feel like Yancey didn't do well in the second half? He
played great in the first half, but then again, I thought our team played better in the first half. So we just got to get better. Was not a very good offensive game for us. It wasn't really for either team. And you know, defensively, we just didn't get enough stops when we needed them. We were up with a couple minutes to go, and weren't able to stop them.
What are they doing defensively against Isaiah that it seemed to kind of really throw them out of rhythm until those final minutes?
Yeah, what were they doing? They were switching most of the pick and roll, which is different than what we normally see. We've seen it some. And then they were really, really just backing up off of Isaiah and daring him to shoot. And he was able to get some drives that were pretty good drives. Made a couple, missed a couple. You know, and then at the end, he had the offensive foul call.
Anything late in the game you wish you would have done to get the ball out of Buddy's hands and limit his touches?
Yeah, I mean, every game, if you lose, you go back and watch the tape, you wish you would have done everything differently. That's how it works. But that's not how, you know, the game unfolds in the moment. So you can't go back and change things. Our guys did a pretty good job for the majority of the game on Buddy Hield. But again, down the stretch, he was terrific.
I don't know, Stephen, one of the points. Was it just Buddy being the player he is at the end of the game, or were there defensive lapses that you saw that really made a difference?
Got to give him a lot of credit. I don't know so much defensive lapses. There was things we could have done better on defense. There was one There was a three he hit when we were up 6, where they got an offensive rebound. It was a long rebound, and they're really good at getting him the ball off of offensive rebounds for threes. And Prince was close. He was in the vicinity, but just a step away. Is that a defensive lapse? I don't think so. Could we have defended it better? Yes. There was a play at the top of the key where he looked like, I'm sure he'll play in the NBA, but he looked like an NBA player on this play. He split a ball screen and slashed in there and laid it up. You guys, some of you probably recognize the play. Was that a defensive lapse, or was that a great player making a play? Mostly the latter. We could have guarded it better. I just thought for the last 5 minutes of the game or so, he was really the aggressor, and our aggressiveness wasn't there, But again, you got to give him a lot of credit.
You guys limited OU to if not their fewest possessions, some of their fewest possessions of the year. Is that the pace you wanted to play? Is that by design?
I don't really get caught up in that too much, because sometimes that's under your control and sometimes it's not. But we definitely wanted to make them work. I mean, tell you, a couple of plays I'd like to have back. It wasn't so much the end of the game, but there were some layups that they scored like in fast possessions, particularly Spangler. Those are the ones we really wanted to take away, and those are as costly as anything, when you look back at the tape. But yeah, I think our guys did a good job. Both teams were switching pick and roll. When that happens, there's less rotation, so it just necessarily makes the possession longer. So ours were longer, theirs were longer, and then at the end of the clock, you got a guy trying to go make a play.
I guess I'm asking you guys still kind of an adjust to the opponent type of team, or do you have a goal as to whether you want to play fast, if you want to slow it down, that kind of thing?
Well, it's more complicated than that. It's try to give you a simple answer.
A really simple answer.
The simplest answer is yes to your question. You want to, but the more complicated answer is it's more on a possession by possession basis. For instance, we started the game, we were in our diamond press. All right? When you're playing a team like Oklahoma, that's very high risk, high reward, because they can make you pay and get an open three for the best three-point shooter in the country. And so one of the coaches on our staff said, why would you ever want to do that? Well, you also can force them to kind of get out of what they normally would do, possibly turn the ball over, or maybe take a shot quicker than they want or different than they want, which we actually were able to do on some possessions early in the game. So on those possessions, we wanted it to go fast. There was other possessions where we wanted it to be slow.
Thank you.
In that vein, are you happy with the way your team has kind of been able to adapt to different styles this year and prevent teams from doing what they need to do?
Yeah, our guys they're doing a really good job of that. I mean, I went back in the locker room after the game, and the guys kind of had a look in their eye like they thought I was gonna yell and scream at them, which I didn't. They're doing a really good job of trying to adapt, trying to follow the plan. We just made one. We made one play too few. That's really what it came down to. But again, Oklahoma deserves credit for that, and our guys battled and fought, and some of our guys played heavy minutes. I thought both teams, you could see a level of fatigue out there. Some of the guys on both teams. Healed. He kind of got stronger as the game went on, but yeah, our guys are doing a good job with that.
The TV mics caught you saying at one point, "Don't get caught up in the shenanigans, but we're going to stand up." Is that kind of the balance you're looking for in situations like that?
Yeah, they were sticking the mic like all the way into the huddle there. So yeah, that's a balance you got to strike, because it's like there's a lot of talking going on in the game. There's a lot of talking out there on the floor, and it's a fine line. you know, that's part of the game, talking, but you also want to focus on your plan and on what you need to be doing. So we want our guys to go out there and play and be aggressive and do what they do, but not get caught up in some of the things that are outside of our process. But at the same time, when you go on the road and somebody's trying to bully you, then you got to stand up to them, and we've seen that before. That's how it works in this league.
Along those lines, do you want guys to do like what Cousins did, bomb 2 threes and tell them all about it in their face, the way he was with Felix and Marcus? Do you want
Cousins?
Yeah.
Do I want that from our guys?
Yeah. Not either now or in the future.
It depends who you are. I mean, some guys, that's how they play. I don't really mind, being who you are, but don't try to be something other than who you are, And that's why Oklahoma's got a nice team, because they've got Cousins, who does what he does, and he'll tell you all about it. They've got Heald, who's the nicest guy in the world, but he's an assassin. And they've got other guys on their team that are really tough, and a guy like Spangler, who, in his own way, imposes his presence. So yeah, I think you want a mix of guys on your team. I've said before that I don't think we've got the most naturally, outwardly confident guys. So sure, we could use a Cousins mentality or two.
Shaka, you talked about being the aggressor down the stretch. This league, every game is 2-3 possession game, it seems. Is that what makes this league so tough? Is it seems like every game comes down to the last 3-4 minutes? Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons it's tough, and the other reason is there's just really good players and really good teams. So, you have to be on edge no matter who you're playing, and you've got to play the whole 40 minutes. I mean, I think Kirk mentioned we were winning for the vast majority of the game, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's the final score is what matters. But for us, we're gonna take this and learn from it and grow and get better. And it's a game that you watch the tape and it's you're very, very upset and disappointed and angry when you see, you're like, man, that's a game we'd love to have back, but you don't get it back. Now we do get to play them again. All right, and we do get to play another high-level team on the road on Saturday, so we'll move towards that.
Was the plan to play Yancey as much as you did going in, or was that a feel of the game situation?
I don't really plan out playing time. I just kind of go by the feel. We have a lot of analytics that we look at going into the game in terms of who's playing well, last 5 games, different lineups, that kind of stuff. But then you go into the game, and I'm not going to say that goes out the window, but that's kind of secondary to how the game's going. He obviously made some really nice plays for us early in the game. And to be honest with you, down the stretch, it was more about having someone in the game that could guard Buddy Hield. And we didn't do a very good job of that, but you got to choose someone to guard him. And I think that's probably a dilemma that a lot of teams run into.
Those runouts you mentioned with Spangler,
Mm-hmm.
is that a lack of communication, or maybe the guy guarding him is not in position and somebody else has to pick him up when he's running?
Well, in transition, there's really nobody guarding him, so it's not about – so if Connor's matched up with Spangler, it's not about Connor getting to Spangler. It's about the way we play transition defense is the first priority is the basket, and the second priority is stopping the ball. So and then with a team like Oklahoma, then very, very close to that is you better find their shooters. So I think there was a play in the first half where we were so concerned about the shooters that Spangler ran to the rim. I think he got a lob dunk on that one. On that one, Isaiah should have taken the basket. So it's not necessarily Spangler's man. It's that Isaiah was back, and the first priority is the basket. So he should have taken the basket. But, I mean, the play happens fast. So, you know, lack of communication, I don't think so much on that play. It was just we needed to do our job better. But he runs the floor as well as anybody, Spangler, and he did a really good job getting behind our defense a couple times.
Has Cam been cleared to do anything new?
Since when?
Last week.
No. I mean, he was cleared a couple weeks ago, I think, to put some weight on it. I think it was like 50% weight bearing. So he's still there. He's got an appointment, I believe, tomorrow. Today is 6 weeks post-surgery. So he's got an appointment tomorrow, and we're hopeful that he can take another step in terms of you know, just being able to bear weight, because that allows him to do more. But he's been working. I mean, he did 2 workouts yesterday, and he's really been putting the time in.
OU, I mean, obviously they have healed and they can spread you out.
Mm-hmm.
Latin's kind of a defensive guy, but what makes them so special, so tough?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, they shoot the ball at an extremely high rate. I mean, that always helps. And they made 9 last night. I think they averaged 11 threes. But their percentages are amazing. You know, one of the things that we always look at is when you add up field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and free throw percentage. And a really unique special player can get to 180. All right, so that would be like 50 from the field, 40 from 3, 90 from the line, 180. Healed is 190 plus, I believe. So just that's what makes them hard to guard is that they can make tough shots and shoot a high percentage. And then I think they have good diversity on their team when it comes to offensive threats. You know, Woodard, it was a relatively quiet night for him, but he's a big threat for them as well. And then when you combine him with Cousins and Heald and Spangler and some of their guys off the bench, Latin, who starts at the 5, they're a good team.
How do you feel about your offensive diversity?
Our offensive diversity? Not great. I mean, not as good as theirs. But we're working on it, and you know, it's something where ever since Cam went down, you know, we've had to kind of adjust the way we played or the way we were trying to play. You know, obviously you have a little more diversity when you have a guy like that you can throw it into on a regular basis. I think we've had some games where we've gone inside and Shaq and Prince have helped us. That really gives us a big lift. And then, you know, when Javon and Isaiah are both playing really well, that's really big for us. But, you know, in a game like last night, if you look at it just purely statistically, offensively, we just weren't able to create enough diversity in terms of our offensive attack. And you got to give Oklahoma some credit for that. They did a nice job with their game plan. You know, it looked like what they were trying to do was say, hey, we don't want Isaiah to beat us with assists. And he didn't. You know, he got a lot of shots. Some of them he made, some of them he didn't. And we got to do better next time.
You want him shooting more jumpers, pull-up jumpers, or the like?
He can make them. I mean, he didn't make them last night. It's situational. I don't mind him shooting a pull-up jumper if it's in rhythm and he shoots it with confidence. But he also, you know, I think one thing that's really good about him is getting to the foul line. You know, so we want him attacking and try to get to the foul line. Now, last night, as a team, we did not get to the foul line much.
Good call, bad call there.
He's not allowed to talk about it this year. That's Big 12.
This is not officiating related, but what do you think caused the disparity at the free throw line as much? Do you think your team just wasn't as aggressive as Oklahoma last night?
That's not officiating related?
Well, work around maybe.
Wait, say it again.
Maybe a bit more work around the question, but do you think your team could have been a little more aggressive at the end of the game, or was that something that's out of your hands?
I don't think it was really aggressiveness. It was we missed some easy shots. I mean, and you know, and then on that last offensive play, we were, if you go by the call, we were too aggressive. So I don't think it was aggressiveness. What we could have done, I mean, if we could go back and play that game again, is try to do some things a little differently to take advantage of switching. I think there's the scheme that you have in terms of X's and O's, but then there's also a mentality, and the mentality actually is much more important. You can change the X's and O's in a timeout and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The mentality is a little bit different, and I think going into the next game, we need to do a better job building the mentality we want. But again, we're one play away from beating a #3 team on the road, so not far off.
From the time in the spring, summer, when you said Javon lacked a little bit of passion, how have you seen him come along, and how would you describe how he improved this year and kind of made the most of what he's got?
Well, I think he's really grown in confidence, and he's there was a point in the fall where something happened, and we had to get together, and it was basically like, hey man, you got to take ownership of your senior season, your team, your life, and he's really done that. I mean, he's really done a great job. I'm really proud of him. I want him to continue to do that. He has a kind of a quiet inner belief in himself that I didn't see before, but I'm seeing more and more now. And he actually, it's interesting because he's our smallest guy, but he might be the toughest guy, you know, in terms of like, you're not bullying me, you're not like pushing me around. So that's good. We need more of that. I wish he was 7 feet tall, you know. If you
when you said to Isaiah, I guess it was after the Vanderbilt game, when you wake up wanting you to think about your team, do everything for your team.
Mm-hmm.
What was the response ultimately after he did that?
That was going into the Baylor game. Yeah. What was his response?
Yeah, I mean, you said I want to.
He looks at me like I'm crazy sometimes. Sometimes I'll say things to him and he'll just look at me like, because he just, every coach is different, and I think maybe there's some things that are new to him, but he's trying. You know, I think he's trying to be the best teammate and the best leader he can be. I wish I could have coached him, you know, from the beginning of his career, but you know, it is what it is. There's when you're the best player and you're the guy that everyone game plans for. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders, and sometimes it's more perceived than real. But if it's perceived, then to these guys it is real. And he also wants to do well really, really bad, you know, and he has a lot of things that he wants to do with his career. So I'm just trying to help him understand what can go into him being successful. And sometimes if you focus on the guys around you, it's amazing how things will work out for you.
Why do you think the team looked at you like they thought you were going to bark at them when you walked in the locker room?
I don't know. Probably because they felt like we were up for most of the game and we didn't do what we needed to do to win the game. Maybe they're still getting to know me. I'm not a big yeller and screamer after the game because I don't know really what that does, but I just want to make it really, really clear to these guys, why we did what we did and, what we can do to learn and grow. And we're going to be in those situations again where we're on the road, it's a close game. And I thought that game, there was some things that game had in common with our Kansas game on the road. And I thought we handled the second half better, but not well enough.
Another tough play Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have avoided taking that big punch early on the road. Is that kind of the mentality you instill in your team? You're going to face a run, but maybe not right out of the gates where you're having to call timeout?
Yeah, I think starting the game well is really important. But, you can't script everything, every game, exactly how it's going to go. It's a 40-minute game, so no matter how the game starts, you got to continue to try to follow your process. But it certainly helps when you get off to a good start.
When you say you wanted to coach Isaiah early in his career, what ideas and principles would you like to instill in him so early that maybe you're still developing?
Well, all the stuff that we're doing now. I mean, I wish I could coach all these guys from the beginning of their career, but that's not how it works. When you get a job, you kind of you get guys when you get them. And I think all the things that we've tried to focus on, our guys have done a good job trying to embrace, but it takes time. And it's not as simple. I know maybe it's hard to see this from outside looking in, but it's not as simple as saying, hey, do X, Y, and Z or be this way. And then they, as 21-year-old kids, okay, that's how I'm going to be. It takes practice and work, and it takes setbacks sometimes, and it takes success sometimes. And but that's all part of the process that we're a part of right now. And as I've always said, if we can get better and be playing our best when it matters most, then maybe we can do something special.
Rick, go ahead.
Rick Cantor, the Austin American Statesman. I've never met you before.
You guys got a lot of guys.
Come at you, Wade.
This is the 50th anniversary of the UTEP 1966 team that won it all with the first all-black starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Did that have any impact on you in any way? I know you're not that old, but even later, did you see that as an impact to men's college basketball?
Oh, it's a huge impact. Yeah, no, there's no question. I'm a history guy, so I enjoy learning about history, and I'm a basketball guy, so all those things combined to it's just it's a fascinating story when you look at both sides of it. When you look at who they beat, it's pretty neat. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for the history and for what those guys did. And 50 years, I think our game has come a long way, but there's still a lot of progress to be made, and there's still certainly elements of some of the biases that existed back then that we still need to overcome.
Thanks all. Thanks, Shaka.